All right, very good. Again, welcome to everyone. I'd like to introduce Trevor Williams. Trevor is a new board member for the council, and he's going to introduce our speaker for the evening. Trevor?
How's everybody doing today? My name is Trevor Williams. I'm a board member with the Indiana Council on World Affairs. I want to introduce today Jeffsky Poincy. He is a Haitian policy expert with a master's degree in policy and international development with a focus on governance from Duke University, Sanford School of Public Policy. He also holds a graduate certificate in Latin American Studies. Prior to Duke, Jeffsky studied in Moscow, where he earned a degree in economics and business management. Currently, he's based in Washington, D.C., where he is a program manager at Partners Global, collaborating with local partners in Africa and Eastern Europe on projects related to accountable governance, civil society strengthening, and peace building. Prior to moving to the United States, Jeffsky held key positions in the Haitian government, including public investment analyst in the Ministry of Youth and economic development advisor in the Ministry of Tourism. He has also worked with organizations such as Plan International and Digicel Haiti in both the development and private sectors. As an advocate for Haiti, Jeffsky is an active member of the anti-corruption organization, NPD. His advocacy efforts include promoting Haitian-led solutions in discussions with U.S. policymakers and other stakeholders, ensuring that local leadership and voices are central to shaping U.S. foreign policy decisions regarding Haiti. He is fluent in English, French, Russian, and Haitian Creole, and is passionate about geopolitics and global affairs. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to Jeffsky Poincy.
Thank you, Trevor. Thank you, Ray, and thank you, everyone, for joining this conversation. It's a pleasure for me to be here, and I, as a proud Haitian, I really appreciate your interest in, understanding the Haitian crisis and everything that's going on right now. So I'm gonna, I really want that to be like a very casual conversation. I assume that every one of you has a little bit of background on Haiti. At least you and kind of like know the background. So before I get deep into the current crisis, I want to take a moment to talk about a little bit about the context of Haiti, and how did we get there? How is that Haiti is always in the state of in a state of crisis? And if you look throughout Haitian political history, realize that the entire history of Haiti has been characterized by political chaos, by instability. And since Haiti gained the independence in 1804, the 50 years after independence, we were deep into a civil war between the North and the South. And after that, from 1915 through 1947, I would say that was the U.S. occupation. And after that, we have 20 years after the U.S. dictatorship, U.S. occupation, we had the Duvalier dictatorship that lasts all till 1986. And from 1986 to today, since we are experiencing this, we are experiencing the democratic experience, we've been getting deeper in crisis. It's very one might ask, why is that? What are the main factors that are behind this current political crisis in Haiti? I did a lot of research on Haiti. I experienced the Haiti through the government, through my different experiences in government. And I think the way I describe the situation in Haiti, I call it the instability trap. And it's a combination of three main factors. Of course, there are a lot of factors, but for me, the main fact, it's a combination of three main factors. One, it's political violence. Two, it's the weak state, weak government, a state that is not able to provide for the citizens. And three, it's a dysfunctional economy. So what happened is that those three factors, when they, they fuel each other and they create this this vicious cycle where each, fuel each other. The political violence, of course, affect the economy, and a poor economy also prevent the state from being able to provide to the citizen and so on. So that's what I call the instability trap. Those are the three main factors that I think that are behind the cycle of instability in Haiti. But of course, each of those factors, you can get deep into each of them to see what are the sub factors and what are the different drivers that that fuel those three factors. And I want to talk about three of them, right? And three of them that I think is very relevant for this conversation. And the first one is the past, right? Is the historical injustices that happen in the past. As I just mentioned, the first one is the U.S. occupation from 1915 to 1934, and some might even say till 1947, where Haiti has been under U.S. occupation, where all of the resources of Haiti has been seized by the U.S. And most of the policies that were actually implemented during that time, they were mostly focused on prioritizing U.S. businesses and so on. And I think this specific period of Haitian history create a lot of challenges for Haiti, because up till 1947, about 40% of Haiti's national income was used to service the debt repayment to the U.S. And to the French. And the same goes for the debt of the debt of independence that Haiti also had to pay in 1825 in order for France to recognize the independence. There's this specific event was a huge lost opportunity for the Haitian young nation to be able to develop itself. So I think it's very impossible to talk about the Haitian crisis or the Haitian fragility today without referring to those two main events that are kind of like occurred in the past of Haiti, and I believe that they continue to impact Haiti today. The other factor I think that people don't usually talk about that actually is one of the main drivers of Haiti's fragility is natural disasters, right? And as you know, Haiti is one of the most exposed country in terms of natural disasters. So every year there's a lot of hurricanes, flood, and earthquake happening in Haiti, and that have a huge toll on the Haitian economy in general, right? And as an example, in 2008, just hurricane and tropical storms causes losses estimated at 15% of GDP of Haiti. And some of you might be aware of the earthquake that happened in Haiti in 2010. So the impact of the earthquake was estimated on more than 150% of Haitian GDP. And then in average, the losses or damages creating resulting from different natural disasters average about 2% of GDP every year. So those natural disasters is one of the main factors that kind of like fuel this fragility in Haiti. But there's also two other factors, right? And one of them is the influence of the illicit networks in the region, right? So if you look at Haiti through a map, you will find that Haiti is located right in the middle of the Caribbean, and this is the perfect location for like transshipment of drugs and all kind of illicit trafficking. And since 1986, Haiti has been used as a transshipment area for drugs coming from from South America going to North America. So Haiti has constantly been under huge influence from those illicit power structure around the region, including drug cartels and so on, that kind of like influence Haiti and make sure that Haiti remain in the space where they can continue with the businesses. And as an example, Haiti, it's 1,000 miles of coastline, and we actually don't even have a coast guard, right? So it's wide open right there to all kind of trafficking businesses. That's one factor as well that I think kind of like explain the situation, right? So those are of course there's different factors that come in play. There was corruption, there is like the economy that is being captured by the elite, and so on. But those are the main factors that I think, at least in my opinion, resume the situation of Haiti. And if you look, if you take, for example, the GDP of Haiti for the past 10 years and you compare it with every time there's a political event or every time there's a natural disasters, you realize there's a downslope in terms of economic performance and so on. That's, to my opinion, that's the best way I can use to summarize just in terms of background. So what about today? What about the crisis today? So to put it simply, I think I will take the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse back in 2020 as the starting point of the crisis. But if we even though the crisis began before that in 2018 after the biggest anti-corruption movement in Haiti called the Petro-Caribbean Challenge. So when President Jovenel Moïse was assassinated, the country was in a vacuum. So there wasn't any elected officials. At the time, the parliament was already dysfunctional. The judiciary was kind of like on the brink of collapse as well. So when President Jovenel Moïse got assassinated, then you have a situation where there is no government at all. The executive branch is collapsed. The parliament is dysfunctional, and the judiciary is practically dysfunctional at the time, and that created a vacuum and that created an environment in which gangs, emerge and grow stronger. And that's why right now, what we're talking about when we're talking about the Haitian crisis, we're talking about the security issue. We talk about the gangs controlling 80% of the metropolitan area. So that's the background where the situation came from. It all started with this governance issue when there is not a single elected official in the country where any branch of power were actually functioning in the country. So that get us to the gang issue. So just to give you a little bit of a broad picture of the gang issue. According to the studies, there are actually 200 gangs operating across Haiti, and around 100 is in the capital, Port-au-Prince. And 80% of the area of the what we call the metropolitan area is controlled also by gangs. So to categorize those gangs members, there's I just mentioned there's like 200 gangs, but they don't have the same capacity. Right, and we have what I would call the first generation gang. Those are like small gangs that are mostly engaged in small criminal activity, large, like very small in scope. We have the second generation gangs. Those are mostly I would say business oriented, drug centered, but they don't have any kind of like political objective. And what I call the third generation gang, those are like primarily organized crimes that have deep connection with the drug trafficking in the region, and that also have some kind of political agenda. And what we've seen the past 5 years is that there is a constant shift between those three groups of the gangs. Right, gangs that were first generation, they emerged to become second generation, and second generation emerged to become third generation gangs. Right now, we have 3 or 4 major gangs that are actually connected to the cartels and to the power illicit groups in the region that are actually terrorizing the population, and to some extent, they even outgun the police. So it's also important to mention that many of those gangs that exist today, they didn't exist 5 years ago, just to kind of like make the connection between the governance collapse, right? So it's fair to say that the governance collapse in Haiti for the past 5 years kind of like created this situation for those gangs to emerge, or at least for them to become so strong to a point where they can outgun the police. What I think is also important to talk about is the ecosystem of the gang issue in Haiti. Most of the time when we're talking about the gang issue, we just focus on the gangs. What we don't really talk about the ecosystem of the gangs. And what I mean by ecosystem is like the entire system that actually fuel the gang violence, right? Because the reality of thing is the gangs members, they are young people that will never left the community, but yet they have access to the illicit market, they have access to the financial sector to launder money and so on. So, and also there's an intrinsic link between the gangs and politics in Haiti. And some might say that the gang phenomenon in general is a political issue, right? So because politicians use the gangs to instrumentalize them for electoral purposes. So it's a very kind of like vibrant relationship between the gangs and the politician. And it's the same for the private sector as well, right? So, but also what we've seen recently is that there's an increasing link, an increasing connection between the illicit groups in the region, the drug cartels, and the gangs, right? So, and that's very important to mention, because most of the efforts that that we've seen lately, or in general, that when we're trying to address the security issue, mostly focus on the gangs, overlooking the entire ecosystem, the entire supply chain that actually fuel the gangs, right? So that's what is important when we're talking about addressing this issue, to make sure that we don't only address it from a military perspective, but also we create effective policies to erode the linkages between the gangs and the politician, between the gangs and the private sectors, and also between the gangs and the cartels or the illicit groups in the region, because it's going to be impossible to address that if you don't actually address this supply issue. And one important factor as well when we're talking about the security issue in Haiti is the fact that 90%, up to 90% of the guns and ammunition that are actually in Haiti, they are either US manufactured or they come straight from the US, right? So that's a huge issue, especially given the fact that those gang members, they have open access to the illicit market to import guns and ammunition, whereas the police has always been under some strategic embargo when it comes to importing the guns and ammunition that they need to fight the gangs. And that led to a situation where the gangs completely outgunned the police. And this situation was the result of I would say the US policy to contain the police and to prevent the police from getting too strong, given the history that we had with the army, that kind of like has been a disruptive force when it comes to democracy, right? So the Haitian police doesn't have the capacity to import the weapons, or they have a lot of restriction in terms of the types of ammunition that they can import, whereas the gangs, they have access to the illicit market where they can import everything, right? So far there hasn't been a lot of effort to disrupt the supply chain of guns and ammunition going to Haiti, and this is actually one of the factors that fuel the gang violence. So this is I'm just trying to give you a little bit of everything within 30 minutes, which is pretty challenging. So in terms of governance, right? So as I just mentioned, when President Jovenel Moïse got assassinated, there wasn't any elected official in the country. Most of the, political institution or state institution were literally collapsed. And the international community, along with CARICOM, the US CARICOM, and the United Nations, was very active in finding a solution or in helping the Haitian actors finding a solution. And right now, we have what we call we have what we call a presidential council and the government. So the presidential council in Haiti right now has 9 members, and we also have a government, right? If you've been following the news, you probably know that yesterday the prime minister was ousted. So we have a new prime minister that has been appointed by the presidential council. And the goal of this, transitional structure or the transitional model that we just started experiencing is to organize elections and to make sure that we addressing the security issue to organize election and make sure that by 2026 we get the elected officials to run the country. So that's that's pretty much in terms of briefing. I'm hoping to have a very open conversation with you. So there's a lot of there's a few things that I didn't mention, but I look forward to get back to them during the Q&A session.
Trevor, there you go.
Thank you so much, Jeffsky. At this point, we're gonna move to moderated questions. I have a few questions just so we can get a little more knowledge about the situation in Haiti. Jeffsky, given Haiti's long history with international support, what specific role should international organizations play to ensure that their involvement empowers local leaders and communities in Haiti?
Sorry, Trevor, could you repeat that? I think I've lost you for a moment.
No problem. Given Haiti's long history with international support, what specific role should international organizations play to ensure that their involvement empowers local leaders and communities in Haiti?
Yes, as you mentioned, Haiti has a long history of US intervention or other intervention, some of them military intervention, some of them, on other forms in terms of influence, great power competition, and so on. And I think that has been, one of the factors, behind the fragility of Haiti today. And as you just mentioned you mentioned that in my bio, so we've been, actively trying to advocate for a new approach when it comes to US foreign policy, one that is focused on empowering the civil society, or working with the civil society and working with Haitian leaders to make sure that the solutions or the policies that are coming from from the international community are actually solutions that are sustainable and that don't come with any spillover effect to the detriment of of Haiti in general, right? So I always advocate for this type of approach. Listen to Haitian leaders, listen to the Haitian civil society, to make sure that, I mean, the reality of thing is only Haitians, can find solutions to our own problem. And we've been, we tried all those interventions in the past, and the reality is that they don't work. And the only thing left to try right now is to make sure that the US and the international community in large work with the Haitian civil society, with Haitian leaders, to make sure that the solution that are proposing are actually the solutions that fit the context and the solution that the people, the Haitian civil society and the Haitian people in general want.
That's great. That kind of brings us right to our next question. So With the current security crisis and the international response, especially the involvement of Kenya, what are the anticipated challenges and advantages of this international intervention? I know I've been watching some videos and news reports of the Kenyan police that are working on the ground now inside of Haiti. So
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, absolutely. And for context, I think there is about 600 or 400 and plus Kenyan police officers currently in Haiti, and a handful of other officers from different countries in the Caribbean, I think from Jamaica, from Bahamas, and so on. But look, I think it's not the first time Haiti has found itself in a security crisis. And the response that always come from the international community is one that it's literally outsourcing the security issue in Haiti. Or it's like by looking for external military forces or external police officers to go to Haiti to address this issue. It didn't work in the past through those different UN peacekeeping mission, and it won't work today with the MSS. And there is a lot of issues associated to that. I actually wrote a policy brief on that to kind of like propose a new international response, a new approach to the international response to the security crisis. So now for the MSS, there was a lot of issues with that. And the very first one is what I just mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, is the fact that it's military centric, right? It's focused on the military aspect. And it's not the main part of the problem. As I just mentioned, the main part of the problem is the ecosystem fueling the gang violence, right? As an example, we had a 13 years UN peacekeeping mission in Haiti. Around, at some point, they were very successful in arresting or killing gang members. More than 5,000 gang members were killed during this UN peacekeeping mission, and some of them were arrested, right? So it just took 2 years for other gang members to emerge in the same location with virtually the same capacity. So, right? So that tells us that the problem is not so much the gang members, but the ecosystem that fuel the gangs, right? So we're talking about the politicians that are fueling the gangs. We're talking about the private, people from the private sector that are fueling the gangs and using the gangs to their advantage. And also, we're talking about the illicit power structure within the region that are fueling the gangs and that are facilitating all those gun trafficking from the US to Haiti. That's the big part of the problem. And with this kind of approach, this problem remain, this part of the problem remain unaddressed in general. So that's why, it's not a sustainable approach to only, be focused on the gang, because it's very challenging to actually fight the gangs because they're well embedded in the community. They don't wear a uniform. Are you supposed to distinguish who's a gang member and who's not? And a new study that actually came out highlighting the high number of children that are being part of the gangs right now, right? So it created a lot of issue to address the gang directly, I would say from a military perspective. But it's very important to look at the ecosystem that kind of like fuel the gangs as a way to address it. But also one of the shortcoming of this mission is that it's not a UN mission, right? So it's a I would say voluntary based mission where each country would engage or country could decide to join the group. And it creates a lot of issue because there's a lack of commitment from the countries, right? So there is no I would say they don't have to be part of it. There's no hard commitment to be part of that. Some of them actually pledge to be part of the MSS, but there's still a challenge to raise the money that they need for the force to be fully operational. They also have a lot of challenges in recruiting police officers and so on. So that's one of the challenges when it comes to, like operation. But one of the shortcoming, not shortcoming, but one of the impact of this type of mission in Haiti is the fact that most of the resources, they focus on those missions rather than supporting the Haitian police so they could address this issue, right? So whenever there's a mission coming from abroad going to Haiti, it creates a huge disparity, a huge gap in terms of resources. For example, the MSS budget is actually threefold of the Haitian National Police budget. Most of the countries now, they are focused on raising money for the MSS, but not raising money for the Haitian police, right? So for the last 2 years, more than 3,000 police officers left the Haitian police. And most of them left the Haitian police because of poor working conditions, right? So instead of focusing the resources, instead of putting the resources into the Haitian police to make sure that we keep those officers within the police force, give them the resources they need to address the gang issue, we've spent 2 years desperately looking for police officers from abroad to come to Haiti. And when we finally found them, like a few Kenyan officers, the disparity in terms of salary is huge. The average salary of a police officer in Haiti is $300. And most of the time they have a lot of delay in terms of the salary and so on. But the Kenyan officers, they have 1,000 and plus all those benefits, the guarantee that if they get hurt, they will be evacuated to Dominican Republic, whereas the Haitian police forces, they are on their own. So it creates a huge disparity, and it actually prevent the Haitian police to be sustainable, right? So I think the focus should be on providing the resources to the Haitian police to make sure that they could do the job not only today, but should the issue continue to persist in the future. So and the Kenyan mission has been in Haiti for the past 4 months, and there haven't been, to be honest, there haven't been any progress in terms of addressing the security, right? So just today, you probably saw what happened with a commercial plane being targeted by the gangs. So this issue remains the same, but most of the resources are actually being directed to the MSS rather than the Haitian police itself.
Thank you, Jeffsky. So we were talking earlier about the transitional government that is in Haiti right now, and we know they just got a new prime minister that was voted upon, and the last prime minister was ousted through the transitional government. How is the new transitional government model structured? And what initial feedback are we seeing from Haitians on this approach? Do you believe this model has the potential to bring long-term stability?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's actually the first time we have had a lot of transition, for the past 38 years since 1986. We've had a lot of transition, but that's the very first time we're implementing this, which is a presidential council, right? We usually have a prime minister, or we usually have someone from the Supreme Court being the president, but now we have a two-branch, I would say, executive, with the presidential council with 9 members, and we have the government. So that's a pretty new model, and a lot of people were skeptical about whether or not it will work, just because of the fact that most of those 9 people, they represent different interests. There are people coming from different political parties and different civil society groups, and people were very skeptical about about that, and they thought that would be a huge gridlock because of the divergence of interest within the presidential council. But the reality is that was the only way forward, because Haiti got to a point where not a single individual had the capacity to lead the process. And every time, we're trying to find a solutions, it was very hard to find a consensus among those actors. So the fact that now they are within the same structure, it kind of like helps streamline most of the decisions. And that's why it was, so easy to appoint a prime minister 4 months ago and appoint a cabinet like very quick within a week, which is like a record for Haiti, because usually this process takes months and months and months to especially during the time of transition. So I think that this model was necessary because it allows for consensus a little bit more, but at the same time, it's very fragile, it's very vulnerable. And as we've seen, for the past month, there has been open conflict between the government and the Presidential Council. And that's exactly why we have a new prime minister right now. It's as a result of the conflict. So because there's like so many so many different interests and so many different groups being part of the structure, it makes it very, very fragile. So the slightest disagreement can actually lead to the collapse of the entire structure. But again, I think that was a necessary step. There wasn't any any other solutions. Most of the institution will actually collapse. So usually we would refer to the Supreme Court, and the oldest the oldest judge in the Supreme Court would become president, but the Supreme Court also is dysfunctional. So that was the ultimate solution. In terms of long-term stability, look, I don't think any transitional government can bring long-term stability in Haiti because, as a transitional government, your mandate is very restricted. So there's not a lot you can do. But I think I think this crisis is a critical juncture, and if they make sure that they involve the civil society as part of the process as much as possible, there's opportunity here to lay the foundation that could be beneficial to Haiti's future, right? So the involvement of the civil society is key. As part of the model, there is provision for the civil society to be part of the government as an oversight body to kind of like oversee the operation and the action of the government. This structure has yet to be established, but I think if this transition end up putting in place this oversight body and involving the civil society as much as possible, there's opportunity here to make some to make some great changes that would be beneficial for Haiti in the future.
Okay. I have two follow-ups to that question. My first follow-up is, how does the transitional council work when it comes to votes? Does their votes have to be unanimous, or do they do a majority kind of rule votes to get something done? And my second question is, does Haiti plan to eventually return to a more democratic process? I know they've all want to go back to elections and everything, but they've had some troubles to do that. Is that eventually the plan, to one day go back to having regular elections so that people can elect their own officials again?
Yeah, absolutely. I think well, in terms of the way that the Presidential Council works, that has been an issue from the very beginning. Initially, it was supposed to be unanimous. Actually, among the 9 members, there are 2 observers who don't have a power to vote. It's like 7 actually members have power to vote. So initially, it was supposed to be unanimous, but at some point when they realized that it would be very complicated for them to operate or to make decisions if they apply this unanimous formula. They decided to do it with the majority, right? So that they decided to do it the majority, but again, it's with the aim to always have unanimous actors. So which kind of like give more force to whatever decision they make. But so far, what I've seen is that they have the majority rule, So if they vote, if the majority vote for something, then that's what gonna be implemented. That continues to be a source of conflict within the presidential council. And to be honest, I don't think they've been following, the arguments or the terms that they agreed upon. Even the fact that they fired the prime minister actually wasn't, if they were following the terms, that wouldn't have been possible. So I would say they're still improvising in the process, which is another thing that could fragilize the structure moving forward. In terms of democratic process, the goal of this transitional government is to organize election. So that's the primary goal. And for that to happen, they have to address the security crisis. And that's what makes it very challenging, because if you don't address the security challenge, it's almost impossible to organize elections. And according to the mandate, they have to organize the elections in 2025 in order for elected government to take power in February 2026. So that's the timeline, but it's a very challenging timeline because addressing the security is a precondition for elections. Just to put things in perspective, the vast majority of Haitian voters are actually concentrated within those areas that are controlled by gang. And as I just mentioned, 80% of the metropolitan area is controlled by gangs. 50% of the Haitian population lives within the metropolitan area or the West in general. So the South and the West, those are like the biggest, the most concentrated areas in terms of voting population. They account for 60 or 65% of the Haitian voting population, and those areas are the areas that are being controlled by gangs. It's almost impossible right now to move from the West to the South. So if the roads are not secure, if people cannot campaign, if people don't feel safe to vote, then there cannot be election. Or if there is an election, it's gonna favor the gangs, because if they control an area, the area, then they ultimately control the outcomes of the election as well. So it's a very challenging task. And to be honest, I don't see that happening I don't think it's gonna be possible in 2025. There's a lot of work to be done before that. They also want to have a constitutional reform before the election. As a matter of fact, they put that as a precondition, which makes the process even more complicated, because if you want to have a referendum for constitutional reform at first, then to have election, then it complicates the entire process, and all that within 1 year. So to answer your question, yes, the goal is to eventually get back to the democratic process, having elected officials by 2026. But it's a very, very challenging task, and it's the main condition for that to happen is to addressing the security issue. Otherwise, it's not going to be possible.
Thanks for that, Jeffsky. All right, for our last question of the moderated questioning. Now, we all know the United States has a checkered history with Haiti. How has the past relationship contributed to some of the conditions we see in Haiti today?
Yes, thank you for mentioning that, because most of the time we don't really reflect on those on the impact of the interventionist approach of the U.S. in Haiti. As I mentioned during my my remarks, Haiti suffered a lot from the U.S. occupation. Haiti suffered a lot from a lot of policies that have been imposed on the Haitian people, in so many regards. And I think even right now, as this crisis unfolding, there was there was time where you had the impression that the US were actually opposing the civil society or opposing the Haitian leaders that were actually promoting a new path forward. But Trevor, but I think there's a lot that the US can do to help Haiti addressing the issue. As I just mentioned, the security issue specifically, most of the gun and ammunition fueling the gangs violence in Haiti, they come from the US. So there's really an opportunity here for the US to helping Haiti addressing that. Obviously Haiti doesn't have the capacity to address that from the demand side. So for the US to be helping us addressing that from the supply side would kind of like help addressing the issue. And there's also the sanctions, right? To help cutting those links between the politicians and the gangs. Those are very important tools that the US could use to help Haiti addressing the issue. And I think that's this crisis as it's a critical juncture it's the right time to be talking about a new approach where the US centered a decision, or the US policy decision based on local actors, based on what people on the ground really need, and also do what they can to help Haiti addressing those systemic issues, including the gang violence.
Thank you so much, Jeffsky. That ends our moderated questioning time. I'm going to be turning it back over to Ray so we can get into our audience Q&A. Thanks again.
Thank you, Trevor. And thank you, Jeffsky, for your kind of insightful view of what's going on in Haiti today. We have a couple of questions here. And for the rest of you in the audience, if you have a question, just send it to me and I will kind of call on people in the order that the questions show up here. And so actually the first one we got was from Dave Duba. I'm sorry, Dave. Dave, you want to go ahead? You out there, Dave?
Okay, I was having a hard time getting unmuted there. Sorry about that.
Okay, no problem, no problem.
Jeffsky, I appreciate your time in sharing with us tonight. That I've been to Haiti a number of times. I guess 14 or 15 trips down there for different reasons. And just kind of wondering your opinion on looking at the island as a whole and all the resources that are there for Haiti. Why do you think it is that the DR has developed such a strong agricultural and tourism economy, and Haiti has been unable to do that?
Yes, that's a great question that I actually don't have the answer to. But I think there's a couple of reasons. I think Haiti doesn't have the same past as the DR. I think that there was all the past injustice that I was referring to in the beginning of the conversation, the death of independence, the US occupation, and so on. I think those are like very, even our relationship actually with the colonial powers were pretty much different. So I think I'm not sure what would be the main factors to explain this difference, but what I'm trying to say is that there is a lot of difference between the two countries, and I don't think it's the same it's the same path at all. It's so yeah, but it's a question that actually even I ask myself. It's a very hard question to answer.
Is there, and I'm not as familiar with the DR, but has their government been more structurally sound over the time versus the sort of the constant fluctuation of the government in Haiti?
Yeah, and yes, definitely. I think the DR has been, has managed to be pretty stable in terms of governance. They grew to become the biggest economic power in the Caribbean. So yeah, so definitely there's a stark difference and construct between the political situation in the DR and the political situation in Haiti. But again, I think it's everything is different, right? So the culturally it's different. The political culture in the two countries is different. The past, the most of the the I would say the challenges that we've had were actually different than what DRs have known. So yeah, so I think I really don't know how to compare those two and to make a like a compelling answer to that.
Moving forward, do you feel that the political culture will change enough that those economies can be developed? Because there's so much there. I mean, you look at all the beaches and the spaces around the ocean or the Caribbean that are so spectacular and could be developed, whether it's local or international investors.
Yes,
And but without the governance, the current governance certainly wouldn't allow that. But do you feel that the cultural change in governments is coming?
yeah, definitely. I think, I think there was people that I think that with the new generation, I'm pretty optimistic that there's gonna be change in governance. And I think the as you just mentioned, there was a lot of opportunities. Haiti has a lot of potential. The youngest population in the Caribbean, 1,000 miles of coastline that are actually, pretty that I consider as, untapped potential. So there was definitely a lot, but without the governance, it's very complicated to do that. So as I always say, Haiti need just enough governance to make sure that we break this cycle of violence, this political instability cycle, to make sure that we achieve her full potential. So I definitely think there's people are now becoming more aware about, about corruption, about elite capture and so on. And I'm pretty optimistic with the new generation, there's gonna be a new, class of, a new political class emerging. And, in 2018, we had one of the biggest anti-corruption movement in Haiti, right? We have a lot of groups, a lot of young organizations such as No Pap Domi, which is one of the organizations that I'm a member of, that are actively working in bringing awareness to the populations when it comes to corruption, when it comes to all that, and to make sure that we also from the advocating for a new approach when it comes to the international community's response to Haiti's crisis that most of the time are actually detrimental to the future of Haiti. But I am definitely optimistic.
All right,
Thank you.
Hey, Dave, if you don't mind my asking, why would you have taken all those trips to Haiti?
Sorry, I muted myself again. We supported a medical school. We built a medical clinic, a women's hospital. We established a similar program to Habitat for Humanity, and we built 98 houses so far in one small village. And then a couple of schools that we built and churches that we've rebuilt after hurricane damage.
Okay, thank you.
That's great.
So, Jeffsky, that brings up another interesting question. What is the role of the not-for-profits and NGOs? There was an incident last year where some gang members actually kidnapped a group of, I think, church members from a church that was doing some work down there. So what is kind of the role of the not-for-profits and the NGOs in the work that's going on in Haiti?
You mean in the world of the NGOs and the security crisis?
Well, just in general, what role are they playing in Haiti right now?
Yeah, so well, for me, that's my opinion. I think if there is a lot of NGOs in the country, that means there's a problem, right? It's been there was a deeper problem, systemic problem. It's the absence of the state. It's the state not being able to provide for the citizens. So that's the only reason why, there would be a lot of NGOs in the country, and which is the reality of Haiti. There's a lot of NGOs in Haiti, and that's a reflection of the fact that there was an absent government in Haiti. The government is weak and is not able to provide basic services for the people, which create this, I would say this market, for the NGOs, which in principle wouldn't be a bad thing. But the problem is that has a huge impact on the relationship between the Haitian citizen and the government. And that, I would say, affect the social contract because, with so many NGOs on the ground providing the services that the state was supposed to provide, that creates like a situation where the people don't expect anything from the government anymore at some point. And the government also now are only accountable to the NGOs providing those services, and they don't think that they have a role to play to provide those services. I remember I worked for an NGO in Haiti in 2014, and I was working on a response to a hurricane, and the government were actually, reaching out to the NGOs for data, for example. What about the data they collect on the ground? How many people suffered from this, from that? And that kind of like, show the situation in a perfect context. The government would kind of like structure the actions of the NGOs. The government would be the one informing the NGOs about where to go, what to provide, where do we need help, and so on. But in reality, it's completely in Haiti. It's completely different. It's the NGOs providing those information to the government, and the NGOs, working wherever they want without like a very structured, without any kind of framework, right? So I think the action of the NGOs would have been more beneficial if they were integrated, if they were part of a structured framework, governed by the government. But unfortunately, that's not what we see. And to some extent, as I just mentioned, that really affect the social contract. It really affect the relationship between the people and the government. And if you ask what's the biggest problem of Haiti right now, people will tell you it's a problem of social contract. Haitian people don't believe in government. Haitian people don't believe in political participation anymore, and that's, I think, one of the reasons behind that, right? Because it's the NGOs being a middleman caught this relationship between the government and the people.
That's interesting. Claire Collins, you got a comment or question you were going to ask?
Oh, yes. I was going to ask a question about the assistance of other countries in Haitian elections, ensuring that it was fair and democratic. But I think you covered that very well. Thank you. I was curious. I know that the Duvalier family took a lot of money, like the whole treasury, out of the country. Has any of that been recovered? Or, I mean, where do you go on when you have nothing left after a despot steals from your country?
Definitely, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but I have to check. The last time the last time, not the last time, the last thing I know that some of the money seized by the Swiss government was actually still yeah, I think there was at some point there was a negotiation to release those funds to Haiti, But I don't think that we came to that yet. I think there were a lot of criteria and a lot of conditions associated to that. But it's good that you raised this issue because I think corruption is one of the main issue in Haiti, corruption along with impunity. And that's the role of the international community to help Haiti addressing that, right? Because the corruption is a transnational issue, right? All the money, the funds and resources of Duvalier, they were, in France, they were in Europe, they were in the US. And that's the same thing today, right? We're fighting corruption. Like a few years ago, we had the biggest corruption scandal, which is the Petro-Caribbean money that has been embezzled by by a lot of government in Haiti for the past from 2006 to 2019. I must say, the only way Haiti can recoup this money, the only way Haiti can get justice, it's through the help of the international community. So I think that's a good way to start. To help Haiti addressing, some of this corruption issue, to make sure that you support, the Haitian judiciary to not only get the funds back, but also to investigate those people and help bringing them to justice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. You mentioned the police before and quite extensively. Does Haiti have an actual army, or is it primarily just a police force?
No, unfortunately, the army was dismantled, I believe, in 1994 under President Aristide, if I remember correctly. And the reason why is because the army had a very, very dark history in Haiti. And for some reason, people thought that the best way to deal with that is to remove the army, in general, not to fix it, not to addressing the problem of corruption, of, human rights abusing us, but just to remove it altogether. And I think that was a mistake. And that's one of that's I would say that's one of the reasons why we have this issue going on today. And to answer your question, no, we don't have a functional army. President Jovenel Moïse tried to reinstate the army, so now we have probably a few hundreds of soldiers. But what I've observed lately is that the international community started recognizing at least the importance of having an army. So just last week, 25 of them were actually selected to go get some training in France, which it's not significant number, but what it says is that the international community now is starting to realize that Haiti needs to formalize the army. For the US, we're not quite there yet. I don't think the US support this idea of UN-stated the Haitian army. And as a matter of fact, there was a law that prohibits the US government from collaborating or from providing any type of support, weapons, and to the Haitian army. So as long as this law is in effect, it's gonna be very hard for the US to provide any kind of support to the Haitian army. And at the same time, the Haitian army, Haiti cannot develop the army without the help of the US and and other countries. So that's a great question. So I think that's what I mentioned at the beginning. So instead of focusing all of energy and resources to bringing soldiers or police officers from different countries, I think it would have it could be a greater investment if this money and those resources went into supporting the entire security architecture of Haiti, including the army and the police, giving them the resources they need so they could, so they're able to addressing this, this security crisis. And as I just mentioned, Haiti, it's 1,000 miles of coastline, and the Coast Guard actually has only one vessel to patrol the entire 1,000 miles of coastline of Haiti, which create a breeding ground for corruption, for all kind of trafficking. And the same goes with the border of the with the DR. It's 260 miles of border with a lot of crossing points that are not controlled at all. So it's very important to have to reinstate the Haitian army to make sure that we could at least provide some, some type of, control around the borders, and at least to, to some extent. That I think that's a very, that's one of the solutions that should be considered when we're talking about addressing the security crisis.
So just kind of a follow-up to that a little bit. I'd like to go back to the gangs discussion a bit more. Are the leaders of these gangs, do they have any political agenda at all? Or are they all out just for power and wealth? And along with that, are they local, or are there, some of these leaders imported people from, Mexico or Colombia or?
Oh, not at all. So as I mentioned, the gang violence in Haiti, I mean, the gang issue in Haiti is a political issue, right? So the gang, initially they were formed by politicians, because if you look at the geographic location of the gangs, you realize that they are mostly concentrated in very populated areas, right? So the gangs are huge assets for electoral purposes. So that's why if you look through Haitian history, the gangs are always formed, used, instrumentalized for political gains, for electoral purposes, to some extent. So it's in nature, it's a political problem. So now I don't think the gang themselves has a political agenda, even though some of them, like they're very outspoken about that. Talking about the political goals and talking about the political ideology and so on. But I don't think it's for the gang themselves. I think it's if they have a political agenda, it's eventually for some political groups, because as I just mentioned, there's gonna be elections in 1 year. And most of the most of the areas where the vast majority of Haitian voters are located, that's the areas that are controlled by gangs. So of course, they are a major player in the political, arena. So I'm pretty sure some actors would definitely want to take advantage of that. But I wouldn't say that they themselves have a political agenda. They might say so, but I don't think they do. But at the same time, it's for them to sustain their activities, they have to somehow be connected to some politicians. So that's the only way I can describe the political agenda, is to make sure that they sustain their activities, and that can be through investing into some other political leaders, helping them getting elected to make sure that they still operate. But most of the gang members, these are people that will never leave their community. That's one characteristic of gangs in Haiti, like the gang leaders. They remain in their community. They never left. And some of them are like young, very young, 29. I think the most powerful gangs in Haiti right now is less than 30 years old. So they're mostly located in their own area. They don't leave their areas. And that's why I think the ecosystem is the biggest issue, because those people, even though they don't leave the area, they don't have they have connection with the illicit market. They import guns, they import ammunition, they launder money through the banking system. So one might wonder, how do they do that without the proper education, without the connection, and without leaving their own neighborhood? So that's I would say the characteristic of gangs. So of course, as I mentioned earlier, there's an increasing I would say relationship between the gangs, some of the gangs, and the drug dealers and the cartels in the region, but not in Haiti. So of course, this relationship manifests itself through drug trafficking, through weapons supply and so on, but they're not located in Haiti per se.
All right. I change gears just a little bit. I started to ask you a little bit earlier about immigration. Who are the people leaving Haiti? I mean, how do they get out of Haiti? And we've had a lot of discussion about Haitian immigrants in the United States. So who are the ones that are able to leave? And, what mechanism do they have to get out of Haiti?
Yeah, yes. I'm not I'm not an expert on the subject matter, but I kind of like, I think because of the situation of Haiti right now, I think, all kind of people leave Haiti, right? So there's a lot of people that, wouldn't leave Haiti if there wasn't, this political crisis. And then some people also, there are frequent travelers to the US, they have, visa and so on, but because the US embassy is closed, they're not being able to renew the visa, but at the same time, they don't want to be stuck in Haiti, right? So some of them, make the decision to come to the US, but have they had access to come and go, to renew the visa, they wouldn't have stayed in the US. But one key moment that actually literally changed the immigration dynamic for the past 2 years was like the humanitarian parole that the Biden administration put in place, allowing Haitians to Haitian living in the US to sponsor Haitian who wants to come in the US. And I think there's a lot of few hundred of thousand people that actually left Haiti through this humanitarian parole, which is a pretty legal way. Actually, they come here for I think for 2 years. Yeah, so it's pretty legal. But of course, there's a lot of other groups as well. But I don't have the expertise, or I don't have enough data to be talking about that.
Okay. Just going back to the idea of the NGOs, what role does the church play in Haiti? I presume it's kind of a Catholic-oriented country since they had a lot of French influence. Does the church play a role in politics in Haiti?
It depends. I think, yeah, it depends. There's a lot to unpack there, but just to answer your question, I think, the church, especially the Catholic Church, used to be very influential in Haiti. It used to be very involved in most of the decisions, and which is completely different right now. So we don't see that. For example, there wouldn't have been like I would say like a political consensus without involving the Catholic Church or the Protestant as well, for that matter. But I can say for sure that there is the influence of the church is decreasing even more, and the participation in the political process is becoming less and less. So now the factors behind that, I don't know. It might be because people are not that invested in that, or people don't trust church leaders that much, or maybe just because they don't want to be part of the process because of corruption and so on. But the fact of the matter is there's a less and less involvement of the church in the political process in Haiti.
Okay. Well, that's interesting how that has transitioned over time. Just go back 1 second about the French. What was the role of France in Haiti, and why did French become part of the language of Haiti? A little history here.
Well, Haiti has been, colonized, if I can say this word, by France. So that's how I would say, get the language. But we have a pretty dark history with the French people. As in the beginning of my conversation, I mentioned the debt, the independence debt, that reparation that we had to pay for the former French slaves, former French, I would say, colonialist. So that was and I think that played a great deal in undermining the Haiti's capacity to develop itself, especially around the time we're like 25 years after independence, and we're just starting to learn how to build a nation, how to trade with the world, and we actually had to pay this debt that kind of like undermine the progress of Haiti.
All right. Well, I don't have any more questions right now from any of the audience, but if you had maybe a closing comment you'd like to share with us, and then we'll knock off for the evening.
Well, Wei and Trevor, thank you again for the opportunity to to be providing those insights about the crisis in Haiti, and thank you for everybody who joined. I really appreciate the interest in understanding more what's going on in Haiti, and hopefully the next time we talk about Haiti would be much more positive. It would be about the potential of Haiti, and and how can people be involved with to some extent, whether from an economic perspective, investment, and so on. But I just hope it would be on a much more positive perspective.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It was a very interesting discussion about a country that's so close to the United States, yet we know so little about it. So we appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight. Trevor, thank you for contacting Jeffsky and getting him to be part of our program. With that, I want to thank everyone for joining us, and please check our website for future events. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.